In the headlines for this hour on VTV News, National Assembly scrutinises National Target Program on Cultural Development. And fiscal policy to support growth and ensure macroeconomic balance. In our world news, Russian president arrived in North Korea for the first visit in 24 years.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 3 p.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. As part of the Legislature's 7th session, the National Assembly examined the National Target Program's investment policies on cultural development for 2025-2035. The discussion took place on Wednesday morning.
National Assembly deputies underlined the urgency of building a national target program for cultural development and contributed many ideas to fine-tune the draft.
In his speech at the 2021 National Cultural Conference, the General Secretary emphasized that the culture we are building is an advanced culture imbued with national identity. Its core content includes national independence and socialism, with Marxism-Leninism and Ho Chi Minh's way of thinking playing a central role in society.
The National Assembly is discussing a national target program, not a comprehensive program or plan for culture. Therefore, a national target program must adhere closely to the public investment law, reflecting the essence of a national target program for us to discuss and decide upon. As such, I suggest we review unsubstantiated indicators to ensure they are truly appropriate.
The total estimated resources mobilized to implement the program for the 2025 to 2030 period is over $4.7 billion, mainly from the central government and local budgets. I propose that the drafting agency review the total investment amount in line with the prioritized goals and tasks to avoid proposing an excessively high figure that could lead to waste.
Some deputies argued against setting specific goals for investing in cultural centers abroad when resources are still limited. They also suggested discussing and approving the program over 2 National Assembly sessions to ensure its quality and feasibility.
Prime Minister Phie has signed and issued a government resolution on key tasks and solutions to promote growth, control inflation, and stabilize the macroeconomy. The resolution calls for the harmonious and effective management and reasonable balance between growth and inflation control, striving for GDP growth to reach the upper limit of target assigned by the National Assembly, which is 6 to 6.5%, and the control of CPI growth to reach the lower limit of the target assigned by the National Assembly, 4 to 4.5%. Other priorities are managing a reasonable expansionary fiscal policies and strict controls of the country deficit, public government, and foreign debt within the permitted limit. In the resolution, the government assigned specific tasks to ministries, branches, and localities on numerous issues, such as focusing on revising institutions, laws, mechanisms, and policies, promoting credit growth, focusing on productions and business sectors, removing difficulties, focusing on cultural, social, and environmental fields, ensure social security and people's lives. Decree 64 on the extension and postponement of taxes and land rents was a major topic of interest in the second quarter press conference held by the Ministry of Finance on Tuesday afternoon. Many other issues related to tax sectors were also discussed.
The estimated package for extending and postponing taxes and land rents until the end of the year is over $3.3 billion. This includes over $2 billion in VAT, $1.06 billion in corporate income tax, over $170 million in land rents, and $17.6 million in business household taxes.
This policy temporarily supports enterprises by providing resources for production and business activities. However, by the end of the year, the entire amount will be collected into the budget, ensuring it does not affect the revenue plan. Currently, the progress of budget revenue collection is relatively promising.
As of June 15th, cumulative budget revenue reached over $37.1 billion, up 16.8% compared to the same period last year. This increase is mainly due to economic recovery. A Ministry of Finance representative affirmed that the base salary increase starting next month will not significantly impact the price control scenario.
Market inspections and monitoring will be conducted according to the newly issued price law to prevent speculation and price manipulation. I believe the markets, people and businesses will adapt to the salary increase without significant psychological impact, thus not affecting inflation.
In the recent Price Management Steering Committee meeting, many solutions were discussed, such as ensuring the supply of essential goods. Various ministries and sectors are also proactively managing hospital fees and tuition fees to control inflation.
In the first 6 months of this year, Hanoi Gross Regional Domestic Product (GRDP) is estimated to have increased by 6%, a slight increase compared to the same period last year. According to the Hanoi People's Committee assessment, all economic sectors have developed positively. Except for services, the remaining sectors have increased higher than the same period. The industries and construction sector increased by more than 5%. The agriculture, forestry, and fisheries sector increased by nearly 3%. The budget revenue and expenditure balance also guaranteed. Imports and export recovered, increasing relatively strong compared to the same period last year. And the current plan, it is estimated that in the first 6 months of the year, Hanoi export turnover reached more than $8.6 million, an increase of 8.8%. Ho Chi Minh City departments and localities are aiming to reduce the time it takes to process public investment projects by 30%. They are also undertaking to stem down delay caused by subjective reasons. Chairman of the Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee, Phan Văn Mãi, requested obstacles be resolved before June 20th and not further delayed. The city leaders requested that disbursement rates be adhered to for transitional projects. Accordingly, by the third quarter, the rate must reach 70% or more. For projects that are unable to disburse this year, responsibilities will be considered and handled according to regulations. Currently, Ho Chi Minh City still has many projects that have not been disbursed. The Ministry of Transport has stated that the North-South Expressway project roadbed must be completed before this year's rainy season. Among the project group with the lowest construction volume, the Quảng Ngãi Hoài Nhân Component Project is reorganizing constructions to accelerate progress. As time is running out, the project construction units are mobilizing human resources, machinery, and equipment to meet their schedule before the flood season.
After taking over the sites, construction units have ramped up their efforts. Many are not only focused on completing the roadbed before this year's rainy season, but are also aiming to finish the entire bidding package 6 months ahead of schedule.
We have increased manpower and equipment at construction sites by 200% to ensure the quality of the sites remains protected when the rainy season arrives.
Currently, this section of the North-South Expressway project has mobilized 42 construction units, nearly 1,600 machines and pieces of equipment, and almost 4,000 engineers and workers on site daily. This year's rainy season may come earlier than usual, bringing with it a higher level of precipitation. Therefore, the contractors have devised specific plans to deal with unfavorable weather patterns and optimize construction time to meet the schedule.
We support contractors by ensuring financial resources and materials for construction units. In addition, we also handle units that do not perform well.
This year, our goal is to complete 20 to 30 kilometers of geoconcrete mattress and finalize the tunnel lining for Tunnel 1 and Tunnel 2.
Challenges related to construction materials and site clearance have been successfully resolved. Currently, conditions are optimal to accelerate construction progress. If we complete the roadbed before the rainy season, several components of the North-South Expressway project could finish 6 to 8 months ahead of schedule.
And before moving on to some other news, let's take a look at the foreign exchange rate for today, June the 19th. Coming up next on VTV News, riverbank erosion disrupts life in Hậu Giang. And tree growers spend collective efforts to reclaim a semi-desert land. The low pressure area in the west is increasing for Wednesday and Thursday. The resulting heat wave is forecast to spread throughout the north. On Wednesday afternoon in the Midlands, the North Delta, Hòa Bình, and from Bình Định to Ninh Thuận, temperatures of 36 to 38 degrees Celsius can be expected. In some places, thermometers will reach over 38 degrees Celsius. The hottest temperature will extend from Thanh Hóa to Quảng Ngãi, with some places especially hot at over 39 degrees Celsius. From Thursday, it will be the turn of the mountainous northern areas to season in the heat. With the heat wave forecast to last several days, there are fire risks in residential areas due to increased demand for electricity and wildfires in forested rural areas. Outdoor workers must be wary of exhaustion and stroke due to prolonged exposure to high temperatures. In Hậu Giang, riverbank erosion is disrupting the life of hundreds of locals. Since the beginning of the year, the province has recorded dozens of new erosion sites. Local authorities are urgently trying to address the situation and protect people's lives and property.
Over 300 square meters of land have disappeared, and nearly 50 meters of roadway has been swept away. The erosion has yet to stop, forcing this man's family and 3 other households to relocate urgently.
The erosion forced us to move. We are digging for soil, starting with the foundation before building a house.
We have to bear it. We deal with the situation when we spot signs of erosion. There is no effective prevention measure yet.
Erosion along the Mái Dầm, Cái Dầu, and Lái Hiếu canals in Châu Thành, Phụng Hiệp districts and Ngã Bảy town is growing rapidly. In addition to the shortage of sand, the rising number of waterway vessels is also causing many erosion points to emerge.
11 erosion points have emerged in the first half of the year. Due to strong tidal flow this year, more soil is washed away, increasing landslides.
We are raising awareness among the people about the current extreme weather conditions and the risks of landslides so they can avoid harm.
Since the beginning of the year, Hậu Giang has experienced 22 riverbank erosion points. With the total erosion length, the locality has lost over 3,000 square meters of land. In addition to urgent measures, the province is also hastening the construction of long-term erosion prevention embankments.
10 Austin palm civet were born at the Cúc Phương National Park in the north of Vietnam under a captive breeding program jointly implemented by the park and the Save Vietnam's Wildlife. This is the biggest success so far in the captive breeding of the endangered animal, expected to help revive its populations in the wild. Austin palm civet was categorized as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN, Red List in 2016. The species is native to Vietnam, Laos, and a very small portion of southern China. Its population in nature has been shrinking considerably due to poaching and smuggling. Nearly 90,000 hectares of land in Bình Thuận province suffer from desertification. Coastal areas, particularly those exposed to constant sea breezes in Bắc Bình district, face the dual threats of drought and shifting sands. However, dedicated efforts are underway to combat these challenges and green the desertified area.
Binh province is one of the regions hardest hit by extreme climate patterns. Despite the intense heat wave, workers at the Lê Hồng Phong Protection Forest diligently nurture drought-resistant seedlings. This effort aims to supply around 110,000 trees for planting in semi-desert areas during the rainy season. The prolonged drought this year has made seedling care even more urgent.
Despite being drought-resistant, the intense heat has killed this plant. They only have 1% chance of survival this year due to the extreme drought and high temperatures.
Decades of combating desertification in Bắc Binh have seen various drought-resistant plants introduced. However, survival rates remain low due to the region's harsh climate. Greening this near-desert area is no easy feat.
We grow on the most compatible soil to form a strong tree windbreak against sea breezes and gradually expand the greenery. After 2 years, trees reach 1.5 to 2 meters, and by the 5th year, they grow about 5 meters.
10 years ago, this area was covered in dunes, but the wind frequently blew them away. Through annual planting, we have reduced the barren land and dust brought by onshore breezes. Little by little, we've created a stable, green landscape.
Since its inception in 2003, the Lê Hồng Phong Protection Forest Management Board has declaimed over 4,200 hectares of semi-desert land, increasing land coverage from nearly 62% to almost 90%.
This summer, Hanoi offers an exciting range of recreational activities for residents and tourists. One standout attraction is the newly licensed free hot air balloon flight service. Visitors to Hanoi can now experience the thrill of soaring hundreds of meters above the city and enjoy panoramic views of the capital's scenic spots.
These hot air balloons take off from Sơn Tây Stadium. They can reach altitudes of 300 meters and cover a radius of 5 kilometers. From their unique aerial perspective, passengers can marvel at landmarks such as Sơn Tây Ancient Citadel, Dương Lâm Ancient Village, and Ba Vì National Park.
It's truly beyond me. I know this area is beautiful, but capturing a bird's eye view of it is mind-blowing.
Each hot air balloon, standing 27 meters tall, can carry up to 12 passengers. It utilizes a combustion platform from lift-off and wind power for movement. The service, however, is highly dependent on weather conditions and the expertise of pilots and technicians.
A balloon pilot must undergo a certain amount of flight time. Most importantly, we must thoroughly research on-site weather patterns and take off time to determine wind direction, speed, and rainfall to ensure flight safety.
Over the past decade, hot air balloons have featured prominently in festival performances. Currently, Hanoi has authorized 4 locations for hot air balloon flights, 3 in Sơn Tây town and 1 in Tây Hồ district.
We exchange information with the city's Department of Tourism and specialized agencies to ensure flight safety and meet service requirements. We have also promoted this tourism service through local media channels, reaching audiences within and outside of Hanoi.
We are partnering with businesses from developed countries to promote hot air balloon tours and improve ground training for staff and pilots. We will also organize more festivals where hot air balloons can gain popularity.
The balloon management team aims to extend air balloon operations to 55 provinces and cities this summer, significantly boosting tourism.
As a major tourism hub of the Vietnamese Central region, the city of Danang aims to get its tourism sector back on track this year. Solutions have been applied, and among them, festivals and global standard cultural and art events stands out at the start of this summer. These are expected to create a significant experience for tourists 24/7 in the city.
With the theme of Natural Masterpiece, the second night of the fireworks competition between the American newcomer and the 2-season champion from Italy brought a spectacular performance on the banks of the Han River. Lasting until July with the participation of new teams from Germany, China, and the US, this year's Danang International Fireworks Festival has impressed people with its surprises.
It was so mind-blowing, so beautiful. We loved it.
For the first time, audiences enjoyed the performances of many global talents, including Domitil Ailet, the world's leading pole artist, Olga Moriva, an aerial silk dancer, and the Crystal Ladies, twin stars who once appeared at The Ellen Show.
This is a show we are looking forward to. The show demonstrates the beauty and quintessence of art. The artists all strive to bring the best experiences to the audience.
These events have brought to the place more than 200 artists, along with a series of unique shows.
All are great. I love it.
The city's Central Park was the location for a highlight with the program Waking River, which combines art and adventure sports with the participation of the world runner-up in the art of flyboarding. Visitors can experience the Fun Fest night market and Vietnamese puppetry. In addition, the Riverfront Symphony Art Night and fireworks shows will be held at the end of this month.
We highly appreciate the efforts of businesses in investing, researching and building events and shows. These services contribute to the overall development of the city's tourism industry.
This year, Danang strives to welcome more than 8 million visitors, an increase of 6% compared to last year. Experts say that, with many synchronous solutions, it is possible to completely exceed the set target.
Coming up next in our World News, Russian president arrived in North Korea for the first visit in 24 years. And NVIDIA becomes world's most valuable company. Russian President Vladimir Putin arrived in North Korea early on Wednesday for his first official visit in 24 years. He was met at Pyongyang airport by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, showing the invincibility and durability of bilateral ties. The official welcoming ceremony took place on Wednesday at New Vietnam Town. Following the welcoming ceremony, Russian President Vladimir Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will begin talks on economic, energy, transport, agriculture, security, and international cooperation in a summit. Also, during the visit, the two countries will sign several documents, including a treaty on comprehensive strategic partnership. NVIDIA became the world's most valuable company on Tuesday, dethroning tech giant Microsoft. NVIDIA's latest climb boosted Wall Street to a fresh record high. Closing the June 18 sessions, the S&P 500 index gained 0.3%, the Dow Jones Industrial Index rose 0.2%, and the Nasdaq Composite Technology Index rose 0.1%. NVIDIA has also become by far the most traded company on Wall Street, with daily turnover recently averaging $50 billion compared to around $1 billion each for Apple, Microsoft, and Tesla. This goes to show investors growing confidence in artificial intelligence. At least 550 people have died during the annual Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca due to scorching heat. More than 300 of dead were Egyptians. Arab Saudi State TV said temperatures rose as high as 51.8 degrees Celsius in the shade of the Grand Mosque in Mecca. A recent Saudi study highlighted a gradual increase in temperatures in Hajj ritual areas by 0.4 degrees Celsius per decade, reflecting the impact of climate change. A construction company in Kenya hopes to help address the country's housing crisis with affordable 3D printed homes. Flexible, sustainable, and crucially faster to build than traditional constructed houses, this alternative hopes to slash the country's housing deficit.
14 Trees is exploring 3D printing to build a showcase house in Nairobi and 10 houses in coastal Kilifi County. A machine layers special mortar to form concrete walls, cutting the building time by several days compared to traditional bricks and mortar. The company's CEO says the technology can help address the huge housing need on the African continent, but it will take time.
We need to build at scale with speed and with low carbon materials, and this is what construction 3D printing makes possible. People don't really worry or care about the technology. What they care about is the design, the price, the way it is set up, the layout of the building. And the positive feedback we had was on the aesthetic and the pricing and the location of the project we delivered.
Like many traditionally built homes, the company's homes remain beyond the reach of most Kenyans. A 2-bedroom house costs $22,000, and a 3-bedroom one costs $29,000. While the new technology has great potential, its viability remains limited.
Yeah, in spite of the great potential of 3D printing technology, it will still take a long time for it to be able to compete with the brick and mortar. So it makes it very difficult to be the silver bullet to solve the affordable housing challenge, in spite of its huge potential.
Kenya's urban population makes up a third of the country's population of more than 50 million. According to UN Habitat, 70% of those living in urban areas live in informal settlements marked by a lack of basic infrastructure. Experts say construction and financing need to speed up to reduce Kenya's housing deficit.
And now, as usual, let's continue with the weather forecast. And that's all the news for today. To rewatch the program, you can log on to VTVgo.vn or download our mobile application VTVgo. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.